Hey everyone, it's Amanda, and this is my second process video. In this one, I'm using the Cocoa Daisy kit that I just did a video on, and I chose the white cardstock. I was debating on using a pattern paper, but I just decided to stick with the white cardstock. I liked it better. And over on the side, I'm just using my paper trimmer and cutting it down to size. I decided to go with a layout that was mainly in the middle of the page, even though towards the end you do see that I do some of my clustering up on top and down at the bottom, but for the majority of it, it's stuck right there in the middle. So I have that um, blue twinkle type pattern, and I'm just using my ruler to make sure that I get it lined up correctly. And it wasn't long enough, so I cut it down the middle because it doesn't need to be long enough. I can kind of cheat and get away with it this way. So I'm just trimming off this pink chevron to get the length that I want. And I am just applying it down. I have the Xyron dot runner. I'm not a huge fan of it. I have an ATG too, but I'm almost out of adhesive, so I was trying not to use it as much. I toy with several different adhesives, but these are the ones that my ATG, and then I have the This to That from American Crafts, and those are my favorite. So I have a notebook border punch. It's like the notebook paper. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's from EK Success, and I just got it, and I'm loving it. And you can see I'm having a little bit of problems because as I'm going through, I keep forgetting small spaces, so I have to like go back and repunch. But it's one of my favorites, and so I just took that chevron paper, and I'm using the other side. It's a brown polka dot with craft, and then there's small hearts in it. And I am going to kind of do a border alongside the blue, or the whatever color you want to call that paper. There you can see that punch a little bit better. I really like it. So now I'm just using a dauber, and I'm inking the edges of that border, and then I'll crinkle them with my paper too to just kind of add a little bit of texture to it and dimension. So that's what I'm doing there. It doesn't take too long, but I don't know, for some reason I was really struggling with it this time. It didn't want to work, and I wasn't getting it down the way that I wanted, and just really having to play with it a lot. So that happens sometimes though. So I'm sticking this right alongside there, and I'm just making sure that the edge of that border punch sticks out on the other side of the chevron paper, just to create a border. And so at this point, that's the basic layer of my, or background of my page. Now I'm using that same side of the paper, and I'm just doing kind of a half mat behind my photo, just something to make it pop up off that busy chevron pattern. I'm looking at it. I had to flip it around because I thought that I didn't have that aligned correctly, and I was right. So I turned it around to face me just for a second, long enough for me to fix that. But anyway, so that adding that little bit of brown paper behind there really gave me something to work with and to pop that off. So this was another piece of paper, and it was the gray, kind of two-tone gray striped pattern, and it says love you to pieces, love you, and I just really, I liked that because I tell Adeline all the time, I love you to pieces, and so I thought that that would work really well. And now I'm pulling out some of those little Polaroid wood veneers that came in the kit. I'm just going through some of the die cuts. I thought about using the envelope. I don't end up using that, but and then I pull out the twine that came in it. But so you can see, I decided that doesn't really work. I'm trying to figure out where my clustering is going to go at this point. But anyway, I cut that gray paper into a banner because I didn't like just the straight lines of it before. Now these stickers did not come in the kit, but they're one of my favorites, and they're like a corrugated. They're not the new Amy Tan. They're an older, but they're like a corrugated thicker. And so I'm spelling out my title, which is Me and You. I'm I'm just doing it on the actual thicker packaging. Figuring out where I want that to go, and pretty happy with it there, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick that down. Again, I'm checking it to make sure that it's okay. Putting those away. I'm one of those scrappers that has to clean up as I go or it gets in a mess. So I have a couple die cuts. That one says Sweet Memories. And then the other one says Love This Life. And I only had two, and so I start trying to figure out, I really wanted a third circular shape for my third cluster because I do things in threes, and I usually do a triangle of some sort, so I wanted that for sure. But I didn't have anything, so I'm going through the papers and I'm trying to see if there's anything there. And then eventually what I decide to do is to go get one of my circle punches and just punch out a pattern. And you'll see me doing that in just a second. Sorry about bending over. Just the way it works. My snowflake pajama pants. Because we all dress in our best when we scrap, right? So this is, oh, alright, so I use the, I think that was actually from a Studio Scrapbook kit, I'm not sure. But the craft paper that comes in, the stuff comes in, and I had a, I thought that I was going to do the circle punch out of that, but then I had this Martha Stewart heart punch, and I really liked that. So I punched 3 hearts, and then I used, it's like a striped brown or tone on tone craft. It was a B-side of one of the papers, and so I punched it out of that, a circle, so that I had my third circle element. So now I'm just trying to play around, figuring out what I want where. And I changed this a couple times because at first I thought I wanted to keep everything centered in the middle and have everything connecting, but I go back through and I decide to repunch that circle out of that twinkle typed blue pattern paper that is above and below the photo, and it also brings in the color of the title too. So that's what you see me doing there, and I think I'm doing it again, just playing around trying to get what I like. I tried the gray, I didn't like it, and I tried white, and then I stuck with that, but I decided that I didn't like them being right next to each other, so again I'm playing around with everything. I know that I'm going to use those Polaroids, so I do that. Now I'm cutting off my twine. And here I'm just sitting here looking at it, trying to figure out what to do. So I decide to move that up there. Okay, so here I'm still just messing around. I'm finally deciding that I'm going to extend my layout up to that top left corner, and so I stick that little circle punch that I cut out, and I cut the top of it off, and then I layer on the craft paper, like the paper bag heart, and I layer on the little Polaroid. So at this point I'm taking my Tombow Mono and I am just sticking on my little cameras, and then I grab out a little tiny piece of transparent or of a plastic paper and do my twine. Sticking that down, just playing with it a little bit. I had a little hard time getting that one to do exactly what I wanted, but I worked through it. Just finishing up my layering here. And those Polaroids, the wood veneers, they have kind of a burnt in, I don't know what you would call it, like a little design on them, and so I alternated I think I did the top one and then the bottom one with that showing, and then the middle one I just left plain. I used the plain side. Sticking down that last little thing there. Okay, so I didn't. I ended up leaving it plain too. So I don't know what I did there. I'm not quite sure. That twine was very hairy, as I like to call it, so I was getting little fibers stuck all over me, and I think I do go get a baby wipe and wipe my hands off because I felt like my fingers were so sticky and I couldn't do anything else. So just doing a little bit of cleaning up as I go again. Keeps me from going crazy. Cut that off because it wouldn't fit. I play around with adding some enamel dots. And then this is the part, as well, you know, as every scrapbooker knows, there are ideas that you have for scrapbooking layouts and you think it's going to be so great, and then you do it and you're like, oh man, why did I do that? But that's when you just go on and you put it in your album if you're like me, and you look back at it and you think, you know what, that was a bad idea, but I still really like the page, the memory is documented, and that's all that matters. So what I was trying to do was paint an edge around the picture, but the brown paint that I chose kind of had like a reddish tint to it, and I didn't realize that. And so the dots, the little dots that I put on things looked fine. But it was that framed edge around the picture that I didn't like. And, you know, but you move on. It's no biggie. There's always going to be a page that you just like and others that you don't. So I was happy with it. So this is my second page from the Studio Calico Kit, and I'm hoping to get a few more done. I hope you like it, and here are just some close-ups of the layering. Don't forget the subscriber challenge. You can see that video, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.